We just got back from a 1,900-mile road trip. Yep, 1,900 miles from our house in New England all the way down to South Carolina in a pickup truck with 3 of our oldest sons. This was not a typical road trip with all 6 of our kids for vacation. This trip was specifically to look at a college for my 2 oldest sons who are finishing a community college nearby. And since our 3rd oldest son is 16 and a sophomore this year in high school, we just took him along for the fun of it. So, how much did we spend on a 6-day road trip with basically 5 adults? Well, let me show you. This is the budgeting app that I use to track all of our family finances. It's called You Need a Budget, or YNAB for short. On this screen, I've got all of our categories set up, and you can see I already have our family travel category open. And these are the trips that we're planning that I know we're going to take this year. And I've already got some money assigned in them. The 2025 Adventures is just a holding category. And so the specific trip that I want to talk with you about today is our South Carolina 2025. You'll notice I have a hashtag in the titles for each of the categories. That's because at the end of the year, I will delete each of these individual categories and I'll roll them all up into the 2025 Adventures. And by having the hashtags, it will help me if I want to go back and search and find a specific hotel. What hotel did we stay at? Where did we eat? Those kinds of things. I can go back and search for those specific hashtags and it'll come up. So for today, we're going to talk about our trip to South Carolina that we took in March. And you can see I had assigned $1,500 and we spent $1,458.86, which left us with $41.14 left over. So how did that all break down? So one of the things I love about using YNAB to track our travel budgets is that we can just click on here and we can see how much we spent on each one for this month. And you can see it just tells us what account we paid out of. I put everything on a credit card. We'll pay it off at the end of the month. And then the dates and then the payee. You can see I've just got generic gas because who cares what gas station we stopped at. I just have a generic restaurant because we stopped at McDonald's, Chick-fil-A. It doesn't really matter. If it was a more specific restaurant that was an experience, I might put in the title, but the name of the restaurant. Also, there's memos. You can see I've got everything here. The beginning is hashtag SC2025, and then we can see the amounts. So I've already done the math for us, and I've broken it down for this trip. So on this trip, we spent 5 nights in hotels, and most of them, that was actually 3 separate hotels. So we stayed at the Comfort Suites 2 separate times, and then our 3 nights were at the mainstays in Greenville, South Carolina, or in the area. And we spent 3 nights at the mainstays. So these were what I would call fake suites. They call them suites. They list on the hotel site as a suite because it has 2 double beds or 2 queen beds, and then a sofa bed or a hide-a-bed. So they're not really suites in the sense that they're not separate rooms. It's all just one big room, but it had 2 beds and a couch that made out to a bed. And because there were 5 of us, this worked out perfectly for us. And we did that for all three hotels, and it saved a lot of money. It was much cheaper to go this way than to have 2 separate hotel rooms. So that was 5 nights in hotels, which came out to a total of $629.07. And you can see those 2 are here, and the 3rd one is up here. That's not too bad. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's not too bad. Also, all of these are the Choice Hotel brand, and I have points with them, and they were running a special. So if you stayed during a weekday and if you stayed during this springtime frame, then you would get double points. So I got double points. So I've got quite a lot stacked up, and I'm hoping we're going to be able to use those this fall for some free hotel nights. That would be fun. So the next thing that we spent a lot of money on was gas. And you can see here we stopped for, this was BJ's Gas is where I fill up. BJ's is like a Costco or a Sam's Club. So we filled up there before we left, and then we stopped a couple of more times. So on this particular trip, we went in our pickup truck because it's a large, roomy Silverado, Chevy Silverado. And our other vehicle is a very small Ford Fiesta. So with basically 5 grown young adult men sitting in the back seat, none of them wanted to sit in the back seat of the Ford Fiesta to drive nearly 2,000 miles. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't have wanted to sit back there either. But the thing about taking the pickup truck is it uses literally twice the amount of gas that the car does because it's big. Eventually we're going to buy a travel trailer, and we're going to use the pickup truck to pull the travel trailer, but we are still saving up money for that. So anyway, because we were in the pickup truck, we had to stop for gas. It took us a total of 4 tanks of gas, and we have a 36-gallon tank in the truck. So that came out to $322.38. And let me tell you, that one kind of hurts a little, but it is what it is. Yes, we could have flown down, but that certainly wouldn't have been any cheaper by the time you paid for 5 plane tickets. So, and it wouldn't have been near as much fun as this road trip was anyway, either. All right, so the other thing that I bought before we left was snacks. And somewhere I saw a meme or read something that said when you're going on a road trip and you're buying snacks, it should look like you have a 10-year-old, like you gave a 10-year-old a $100 bill and told them to go buy snacks. And that's pretty much what our snacks looked like. We had salty snacks, we had candy, we had sweet snacks, we had all kinds of things. So much so that we actually brought home quite a bit of it. We also packed lunch meat and bread and cheese, and we made our lunches as we were traveling. So that helped save a little bit. But in total, I spent, from Walmart, I spent $102.53 on snacks. I mean, it was 5 people, and some of what was left over we'll use on our next trip that's coming up in a few weeks in April when we fly out to Kansas City to look at another college. All right, so that covers our hotels, our gas, and our snacks. What about regular food? Well, regular food for 5 people is not super cheap, but this one was a little bit different because we did spend 2 full days on campus at the college, and because we were participating in a preview weekend kind of thing, all of our meals, so breakfast, lunch, and supper for those 2 days were taken care of in the college on campus. Some of them were in their cafeteria. Some of them were special meals just for the preview students. So this number could have been a whole lot more expensive. In total, we ate out 3 times for actual meals and spent $235.97, which was not too bad considering there were 5 of us. You can see I just have them put in as restaurants because we stopped at Chick-fil-A one night. We stopped at the really expensive one for a whole $127. was on the border. And then we also stopped at McDonald's because those were travel days. And so we just wanted something quick and relatively cheap so that we could just eat supper and continue on our way. Yeah, so that's the food. We also did two really fun things. The first one was that one night we went and we walked around downtown. Let's see, here it is, this one right here. We walked around downtown in Greenville, South Carolina, and they have a really nice downtown area, or down city, whatever you want to call it. And they've really put a lot of effort in and refurbished it to make it safe and comfortable. The weather was just gorgeous. And keep in mind, we're in New England. We're still wearing jackets, and we were enduring, let's see, we left like 45 degrees and we got down there and it was 72. It was so beautiful. It was amazing. And so we walked around downtown. We looked, there's a waterfall and there's a fancy hotel and there's lots of little restaurant-y things and stores and shops. And there was some live music that was going on down there. So it was fun. And we popped into one of the ice cream places and everybody got ice cream cones. So we spent $25.25 on that, and it was fun. I regret nothing. And then the next night, the college was having a performance. They were, some of their students were participating. Some of it was former students. And so they were doing a performance of The Sound of Music, and it was just fantastic. It was so much fun. We really enjoyed it. And it gave us a chance to see how the student body actually functions in a social setting. And that was a lot of fun. It was fun to see a lot of dates going on, and the students were super dressed up. Like, it was an event. It was an occasion. And that was a lot of fun to see. Brought back memories of when my husband and I were in college together, and some of the events that we went to. We did not attend this particular school, but our school was similar, and so that was fun. And we were able to get tickets to this event discounted because we were participating in the preview weekend event. And so those came out to a total of $118.66, and it was absolutely worth every penny. All right, so that was all the fun stuff. The not so fun stuff is right here, the Easy Pass. If you live in New England or you've driven through New England, you know that New England loves their toll roads. And so you pretty much can't get out of New England either out of or into without paying some tolls. So we have an Easy Pass that we use that just stays on the windshield in our truck so that we don't have to stop and deal with any of that. So our Easy Pass is preloaded with a set amount. You have to load it with $25. And then when it drops down to a certain amount of money, I want to say it's like $5, but I'm not even sure. We've had it for so long, I don't even know for sure. But when it gets low, it will trigger an auto refill, and that's what happened when we got back. I had an email notification that our Easy Pass had refilled for $25. So I just put it into this road trip because it's way too much trouble to nitpick every single little toll, because we went across New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and so there were tolls at different spots. So I don't worry about the individual ones. I just assign the whole $25. So we still have a fair amount of that sitting out there. But the next time it triggers an auto refill, I'll assign that one to whatever road trip we just took for that. So, yeah, tolls are not fun, but it is a part of living in New England and traveling in this area. So that's all of our breakdown. like I said, this was not our typical road trip vacation. Um, Although the pricing of it wouldn't have been all that much different, it would have been more expensive for food and hotels if we'd had everybody. But as far as activities, we tend to do a lot of free stuff. We do a lot of hiking, a lot of national parks, state parks, and those tend to be very cheap or free. So for a total of $1,458.86, we enjoyed a 6-day road trip with 3 of our young adult sons. And I regret nothing. It was a great trip. Whether or not they choose to go to that school remains to be seen. They've got one more school that they're going to look at, and then they'll have to make some decisions. But it was a lot of fun. Especially with these 3, we haven't spent a lot of time one-on-one with just, well, I don't know that it's one-on-one when you have 3, but just to have these 3 guys hanging out together and cracking jokes and having a good time, it was fun. And I'm excited for our trip in April. We're not taking the 16-year-old, and we're going to fly for this one. So it's going to be a little bit different. Make sure you subscribe so that you can get notifications for whenever I post a video about what we spend on that trip, because we are flying and we're getting a VRBO and we're also renting a car. So this trip is going to cost us more than our South Carolina trip did, but I think it'll still be fun. It'll be a good time. Also, if you could leave a comment if you're interested in a more detailed video about how I plan our trips and how I save money, because we are a family of 8 and typically we travel as a family of 8, although now that my kids are about to fly the nest, we probably won't be traveling as a family of 8 very much in the future. But if you'd like to see a video about how I save money for our travels, I would love to do that for you. If you could just drop a comment down below and let me know if you have any questions about that, I'd be more than willing to answer them. So make sure you comment, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. That would be awesome. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.